Hey Hofstra fans, and welcome inside the WB Mason Coaches Report on GoHofstra.com. I'm Julian Coulter, joined by the head coach of the Hofstra Pride Wrestling team, Rob Anspach. Coach, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing well myself, and let's get into the past week of action. New York State Invitationals up there in Ithaca. So, what were your overall thoughts on how things went?
I thought the team really wrestled well. Up and down the lineup, we did a couple things with some of our weight classes to see, maybe make some changes moving forward, but put 6 guys in the finals, first 6 weight classes in the finals, all 10 guys placed, so overall it was a pretty good weekend.
Now, you had a couple of tough opponents there. Obviously, Cornell takes first place, but you guys take second, just over Binghamton. In terms of the competition that you saw, a lot of the opponents that you are going to see in conference play in the IWA, do you think that kind of prepared you mentally and physically to take these guys on later in the season?
Yeah, I think we were able to see a lot of guys that we will see at the conference tournament and things like that. Army was up there. We're going to see Army this weekend. So I think we have a nice little scouting report ready for that match. But yeah, I think going in there, we knew a lot of the teams that just from over the years and being in the New York States, we see them quite a bit. So we kind of knew what we were going into up when we were heading up there. So. Again, I thought the guys wrestled well, some good competition, some guys got some really big wins, and overall just a good weekend.
A couple of guys that were able to take home that crown there, Joe Booth at the 165, Jamie Franco, Luke Veit. What did you like that those guys did?
I think, Luke I thought was just wrestled really well. He was favored to win the weight class, and he went out there and he left little doubt, scoring bonus points in every single match he wrestled. So, it was just a very solid performance from him. Every single match, he looked great. Jamie, again, he was favored to win it. He went out there very controlled. Every match he wrestled, he got a little bit better. Didn't really have too many close matches. Even in the finals, I think he pretty much handled the kid that he wrestled. Joe, I think, probably had one of the tougher weight classes up there, at least that we won. Wrestling 2 kids from Cornell in the semis and the finals. So I think. He went out there, wrestled really well. He's wrestled a Long Island kid, Dylan Palacio, who we know is going to be a really good college wrestler. And he went out there and just took the match to him, did a nice job. We came off of it with him thinking, there's a couple things I could have did better, and we can build off of that. But getting the win and building off of something is better than getting the loss and having to build off of it. So he did a great job, and then he followed that match up with a great finals performance against Craig Eifert, who is another tough wrestler. Went out there, he got taken down in that match. He didn't get rattled, he just stayed composed, ended up getting the win and bringing home a trophy.
Now, Jamel Hudson, he didn't place in terms of first place, but he was able to get that second place finish there. What do you think he was able to do successfully, and what do you think he didn't do that could have gotten him the victory?
Yeah, I think Jamel, in all his matches leading up to the finals, was dictating the pace. He was keeping people off balance with his movement and fakes, and then when it was time to explode, he ripped through guys. I thought in the finals, I only saw it one time, and I think he slowed himself down and made it more of I didn't like the strategy really going in. I thought it was more of, let me slow the pace down, and that's not Jamel. He's too explosive. He needs to be moving. He has to keep guys off balance. That's going to be the way he's going to win a lot of matches. A kid like Mark Gray, he wants to grab a hold of Jamel and slow him down, and I think Jamel slowed himself down. And when he was moving, he ripped through him with a double leg, and I said, when we talked about it after the match, I said, hey, that's what you could have done 8 more times, and that's what you need to do. You're taking yourself out of it. He didn't take you out of your game. You took yourself out of it. And then we need to work on bottom. He got turned and stuff like that. So that's an area where we need to address really quickly, because as you get further along and the guys get better, they will be good on top, and you can't be giving up back points in big matches.
Now, something you discussed coming into last week's competition was being able to see something successfully in the upper weight classes. Now that the tournament's done, what you kind of think of the way the upper weight classes
Well, I start off with Mike Hughes at heavyweight. I thought he was doing some of the things we've been working on throughout the last 2 weeks with his hand fighting. Now, he still has a long way to go, but he's taking steps in the right direction. And that's what we wanted to see from him. At 174 pounds, we had 2 guys going there. They ended up 7th and 8th wrestling each other. So that helped us from kind of moving forward on who we might do a little time share to see who's really going to come out. But again, we still need those guys wrestling better. They just have to keep improving on the positions they're getting stuck in. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And at 97, we put Zeal McGrew in there instead of Dave Heitman. And he had moments where he looked really good, and then he had moments where we're kind of scratching our head going, hey, what was that? And to be, a Division I starter or be competitive at this, consistency is really important. So we need Zeal to be a little bit more consistent, or any of the guys we put out there at those upper weights to be a little bit more consistent.
Now, moving on to the competition that you have this week, second annual Grapple at the Garden. Before we kind of get into the competition, last year, really successful sort of first Grapple at the Garden. What does it mean for you guys to be able to wrestle at Madison Square Garden?
It's a great venue. I mean, you walk into the place and they just renovated, and you're looking around and just being like, and you just kind of start thinking about all the events that have taken place there, and you're like, oh wow, this is really cool. This is really neat, and I think the guys see that as well. I mean, it's just it's the most famous arena in the world. So you walk in there, and you're last year we were in the Knicks locker room, and the guys are walking in there, and you're seeing all those things, and it's really a great atmosphere, really a great event. They do an outstanding job promoting it. And we're excited for the second one, and I think it's going to be a very similar event. And for us, we're looking forward to coming out of there with 2 wins.
Two opponents that you take on, Boston University and Army, who you mentioned you guys took on in the New York State Invitational. So what sort of scouting report can you give us on the Terriers as well as the Black Knights?
Well, Army, anytime you wrestle a guy from West Point, they're going to be in shape and they're going to wrestle hard. So you got to be ready for that. What they lack in some weight classes as far as technical, they make up for in fighting hard, which is what we all want from those guys. But so I think watching those guys, they're pretty tough at 33. Hudson's going to have a really tough match. 57, we won up there when we went head to head, but it was a 12-9 match, so we're looking for that match to be pretty good. Again, they just got a lot of tough kids. We got to be ready to wrestle. We got to be ready to wrestle for 7 minutes. I think their 97 or 84 pounder was in the finals, so they definitely have some quality guys that we got to be ready for. Boston, we've seen, we were in the CAA with them, so we know the guys coming back. Again, their 33 pounder is pretty tough. Their 57 pounder, Nestor Tafur, is one of the best guys on their team, if not the best guy on their team. So that's a weight class where we really need to be ready to wrestle. And their heavyweight is pretty good. He took second in the conference, national qualifier, ranked in the country. So it'll be a good test for Mike to keep improving and keep building on what we accomplished this weekend.
What sort of things do you want to see from the team this weekend?
Same thing as always. I want them to go out there and just compete and wrestle as hard as they can for 7 minutes, come off the mat exhausted, leaving everything out there. And if they do that, more than likely they're going to get their hand raised, but even if they don't, we can come back and work on it. It's so much easier to fix technical mistakes than motivation. So we just want to go out and see them compete as hard as they can this weekend.
Coach Anspach, thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.
Hofstra fans, remember you can tune into the WB Mason Coaches Report each and every week right here on GoHofstra.com.